Welcome to the first episode of the Weekend 90. This is a review show of game weeks of current weekend football. And this week, I'm also just tackling a bunch of results and stuff that happened this weekend. And we're going to start off with the Premier League. Um, I hope that you guys can like, share, subscribe, and hopefully this will be fun. Obviously, with the more football, the more reviews I do. This is just kind of my kind of review and kind of digesting everything that has happened in the football weekend because so much happened. Starting in the Premier League, we had the first game. It was Arsenal versus Coventry. Arsenal completely dominated them. Like from the first minute, right? I think Arsenal were just streaks ahead. Also, if you kind of think about it, this game was the winners of the championship versus the winners of the Premier League, and it looked like men against boys. Coventry were completely cooked. The first goal that was scored was by Kai Havertz after a ball that was passed in by Calafiori, and then he sliced it in for a finish. And then second goal was scored by Saka after like a tap in, and then the game was finished off by Martin Odegaard, who has started the season pretty well for Arsenal. This for Arsenal was basically a statement. I will not lie to you. Arsenal put in a statement win here. And I think they are streaks ahead of any other team in this league. I don't think, unless I will get to the other teams. But if the other teams don't fix up or fix certain mistakes or kind of adjust their teams, Arsenal will run away with this league. I don't know about them in the Champions League, but in terms of this league, I think they are heavy, heavy favorites. For Coventry, obviously, this was the first match that they had. Frank Lampard, obviously, not to the best of starts, but hopefully they can improve. Obviously, they can just shrug off this game. 37 more games to go for them. They just need to fix up. But they don't have a team that is convincing for me. If you look at my predictions, I have them going down because, wow. Then we move on to the Saturday games. Mauled by the Tigers. Man United 2-0 loss to Hull City. I can't lie to you, this was funny. This was absolute comedy as a hater and as a hate watcher, a glorious hate watcher of Man United. This to me was absolutely it. This was it, man. The goals that were scored by Ajayi and Nobel Mendy, who was very, very good. I enjoyed that performance from Nobel Mendy. It sucked that he had to go off injured, but the way that he performed, man, wow. I have full thumbs up for that performance. For United, this was a shocking start to the league. Obviously, a lot of Man United fans will shrug it off and be like, it's only the first game. But they need to fix up. They've already signed Baleba, who will kind of balance that midfield of Bruno Fernandes, Santos, Tielemans. He will kind of balance it out because it needs balancing out. Maybe also in part of that midfield. They also need a left back. Luke Shaw has been there since like 2014 and he's still there right now, which is not a good thing. Right back also, they need more attacking fullbacks in that case because it's not working on that side. For Hull City, this is a brilliant start. This can be something that they can use to springboard themselves in terms of a relegation fight. Obviously, they're not in the relegation zone at the moment, but in the future, these 3 points are going to be very, very useful, and they could start with this being a fortress for them in their stadium. Then we move on to Everton versus Crystal Palace. Everton with a 2-0 win against Palace. I think this was a very shrewd performance from them. Palace missed a lot of chances also. The likes of Mateta missed chances. Wharton had brilliant passes. I don't think he leaves though to Chelsea or Man City. I think he stays at Palace. But for Everton, this is a brilliant win. I think it kind of builds more morale around their stadium. It keeps them in and around the fight for not just possible European qualification, but it is a very good start to the league. Nottingham Forest started off their league season with a loss against Leeds. They also lost yesterday against Leeds in the Carabao Cup, so Leeds have had their number twice this time in as many games. But I think that Nottingham Forest, with the signing of Liam Delap for 50 million, thank you for that, by the way. But if I think they might be cooked, they might actually be cooked if things don't start clicking for them. Ipswich beating Sunderland was also kind of a shock for me. The newly promoted teams, besides Coventry, did really well in the first game week of the season. Not much I can say from this game, but Enciso is going to be a player to watch. He played for Strasbourg last year. He was brilliant for Brighton. I thought he was going to make the transition from Strasbourg to Chelsea, but Chelsea obviously said no, and I'm happy for that. But he's going to be big for Ipswich. Already played for them, was it 2 seasons ago? So I'm excited to see what he can do for that Ipswich side. For Sunderland, this is going to be a struggle season for them. They've already got European football that they have to deal with. They haven't reinforced their squad for European football. They're going to be dealing with a lot. And then the end of the Saturday games, Brentford versus Tottenham. Tottenham got mauled. They got destroyed. It was like 2-0 halftime, and then it could have been 4. It could have actually been 4-0 end of the game, but Igor Thiago missed a penalty. Tottenham have a lot to work on. I think that them spending a lot of money, a lot of expectations increased, but they already finished 17th, so they need to balance out the expectations and everything, otherwise they will be cooked. Like, this was a terrible start for Tottenham. For Brentford, obviously, this stadium of theirs is already a fortress. It's already going to be tough for teams that are going to be going to the stadium. So things need to be fixed, man. But Tottenham, it's cooked. It's so cooked. Then we move on to the Sunday games. Aston Villa losing 4-0 to Brighton. Brighton couldn't have had a better start to a league season. Them winning 4-0. Villa, obviously, they start their season very slow. I don't know, even last year they started their season slow and then they kind of pick up. They already had the Super Cup, which they did really well in. I liked Maggio in that. But to start your league season in this form is not good. Unai Emery already, I think him losing a lot of his key players plays a hand in this. But they've already invested also a lot. I do expect them to get better. I do expect them to challenge for Europe. But for Brighton, this was a good start to the league. This was a good start, and they will be fine. Man City versus Bournemouth. City almost lost this game, and I was hate watching. I genuinely was hate watching for this. Haaland, obviously, with the new haircut, didn't get much to that. I hope that it might get better for him. But with Maresca, he has a history of strikers not scoring that many goals. Cherki and Gerhi, who played in midfield for some reason, I don't know how that's going to work, because Man City have a lack of midfielders. They just signed Buwadi, they have Elliot Anderson, they just let go of Nico G. They're about to bid 140 million for Enzo Fernandez. A lot is happening at Man City, a lot of chop and change. But for them to get this win is key. Bournemouth, obviously, they would have wanted to win this match. They would have wanted to end up with at least a point, but that didn't happen. They will get better, they will be fine. But for City, this was a good win. And then the last game on that Sunday was Newcastle versus Liverpool. Liverpool have a lot of issues. Newcastle have issues. But for them to get a 2-2, I mean, they are playing at home, which is already a fortress. But for them to start off and not losing is good, especially when their squad has been gutted. Like, that squad has lost the likes of Bruno G, Anthony Gordon. They've lost a lot of key players, and for them, I think for them to kind of end up in a top half position would be very good. For Liverpool, they kind of need to fix their issues in terms of midfield, in terms of the attack. Areola needs to get things going on that side, but for them not to lose is also a brilliant thing not to have happened. Then we move on to the last game, Fulham versus Chelsea. I was stressing for this game because the spotlight was already on Chelsea. A lot of people expected Chelsea to underperform in some sort of way because of the expectations. I'm a lot of Chelsea fans speaking. I include myself in that. But for us to end up with a 3-2 win was brilliant. Robert Sanchez, please. I hope that this ball, we have less than a week, right? But if you can get rid of Robert Sanchez, that would be a bonus rather than it hurting us in the long run. Because, wow, this man costed us 2 goals. That first goal, I can also attribute it to Rodgers also not backtracking. But Sanchez, you should be saving that. You should at least get a hand on that. I don't know how that went in, but Sanchez, I'm sorry, you should be saving that with in any which way in any other universe. And even with the second one, Levi Colwell was terrible in this game. Hato is not a left wing back. We costed ourselves in that factor. Pep Chavaria came on, Enzo Fernandez came on, and a lot of the experienced players came on and kind of settled things and made sure that we escaped with the win. Positives was that front three. That whole front three scored. Palmer, João Pedro, and Rodgers. I'm happy because of that. I know the bonus was Lacroix in that defense. Lacroix and Josh Achenbach. They received a lot of plaudits despite conceding 2 goals. In terms of midfield, us also getting through this game without the likes of Caicedo, without Enzo starting, Reece James in midfield, Lavia getting minutes without getting injured, Gusto on right back, Neto also there. There's a lot of teething problems with this Chelsea team. I think they can do really well, but this window needs to end properly. I've said it in a video that you cannot sell Enzo and not get a replacement and expect Reece James to be playing in that midfield. You cannot go into a season where your midfield consists of Reece James, Lavia, Caicedo, Barco, and Jordan Henderson, because already Reece James, Lavia injury prone. Barco is something that you don't expect, and Jordan Henderson is in his 30s, and you can't rely on Caicedo because he was very injured in his first game. So you kind of need to fix this, otherwise we will be cooked for this season. I cannot stress to you how cooked we might actually be if things turn out this way. But this is my wrap up of the Premier League. Let's move on to... We're moving on to La Liga. We're moving on to Spain, people. I'm literally just going to be talking about Real Madrid and Barcelona in this section. I watched the Madrid game. They played Espanyol. They were playing away. They did really well by ending up with a win here. They basically snuck away with the win in this one. Goals by Bellingham and SB. I think this was his first game for Real Madrid. Madrid struggled here. They really did struggle. The likes of Vinny struggled. Diomande kind of struggled when he came on. But for Madrid, I think them getting away with this win, Jose Mourinho coming back to the league, La Liga, with Real Madrid and ending up with a win was key, because it would have been so bad for them to end up with a draw in this game. And they could have actually lost, but Courtois did really well to save them. Them getting away with the win was very good. Likes of Vinny, Bellingham, SB, Mbappe, they were just kind of closed off in this game. But for them to end up with a win is brilliant for them. I think they start the league off in an away stadium that might be a bit harder for them. This was a brilliant win. Then we move on to Barcelona, who did not have that same problem. They completely cleaned out Elche 5-0. Anthony Gordon scored. He assisted 2 of the goals. Adeyemi scored. Rafinha is back and he's scoring goals. Barcelona are heavy favourites for the league, I think, because they're the most stable. They've got the players that are there, and if you add an Alvarez there, if that deal gets sorted, in the Atletico game, this man walked off the tunnel. He didn't even greet the fans. He didn't even say hi to the fans. If you add someone like that to their team, I think they're heavy favourites, not only for La Liga but for the Champions League as well. They could actually run away with it if Madrid do not get their job sorted out. El Clasico this season might actually be a lot of fun. I will not lie to you. El Clasico could be a lot of fun in Spain. But that's kind of my idea of where Spain could go. I think it's still Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico, a lot of problems that they're working out there. Already with a draw against Villarreal, Simeone, new ideas need to be coming in. I do like Kang and Lee. I like him a lot. But we'll have to see what happens in La Liga in terms of Real Madrid, Barcelona, and the rest of the other. And finally, for this video, we have the Mtn8 review. Obviously, there was no Betway Premiership this weekend. We have the semi-finals, the first leg. We had Skukune losing 1-0 to Orlando Pirates, courtesy of a Dion Porto goal towards the end of the first half. Skukune didn't look like scoring goals, any of the goals in the game. Pirates dominated. I think for them this was a nice game where they could just win the game playing away from home, and then second leg they can maybe just score another one to kind of kill off the game and they'll be fine. Then we move on to the Sunday game. I think this was the shock result of the weekend, where in terms of the Mtn8, where Lamontville Golden Arrows played Sundowns and Sundowns lost 1-0. Golden Arrow scored a beautiful goal with Dion scoring the goal. Beautiful transition football, ball over the top, ball across, and he was just there to kind of slot it in past the goalkeeper. And Sundowns basically halved him past the whole game. They had most of the opportunities, with Golden Arrows trying to hit them on the transition. I think next week, Sundowns playing away from home, it might be a little bit tougher. Obviously, not being able to play in the usual stadium, it will get harder for them. We'll see. We'll have to see what happens next week. But Pirates and Golden Arrows hold the key so far in the first legs of these games. Let me know what else you guys want me to review from future episodes of this. And don't forget to, again, please like, share, subscribe.